Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to talk about how to find the perfect wedding dress. I wanted to give you some tips and tricks on how I found my wedding dress and how I stayed within my budget. So if you're interested in watching, just stay right there. So I feel like the moment you get engaged, it's like, it's super exciting. Like then you have a wedding to plan and it's like, you have a dress to buy and there's just so many different things and you don't even know like how many details there are to a wedding until you're like, I feel like halfway in. And some people don't use a wedding planner, some people do, but either way, I feel like the process can be very stressful. And another thing that weddings can be are also very expensive. And, you're dealing with emotions from, the bride is dealing with emotions, the family's dealing with emotions, and everybody gets excited. And it's just like one of those times that I feel like when you get engaged and you are going to go off and start looking for a wedding dress, I feel like some of the tips that can help you like retain your sanity is sitting down and identifying what your budget is. A lot of times the bride's parents will pay for, the whole wedding, and sometimes the bride and groom are the ones paying for the wedding. So whatever the case may be, I feel that it is very important to sit down and identify who's contributing to your wedding, and what you're spending and your overall budget. Once you've identified your overall spending limit, typically a wedding dress would be 5 to 10% of the total wedding budget. Sometimes people like to spend more on their dress than, 5 to 10% of the actual wedding. And, that number could change. But I feel that just sitting down and identifying what your overall budget is and what the maximum amount of money you want to spend on a wedding dress is the best practice before you actually go and start looking. From experience, most wedding dresses that are beautiful, you will definitely not spend less than $1,500. A lot of wedding dresses that are under that amount are just very like cheap. The materials are not that nice. There's not a lot of detail on the dress. That's just what I have seen through experience. I really wanted to kind of stay with a low budget and not spend a lot. David and I wanted to elope, but we still wanted to have these beautiful photos and I wanted to have a beautiful dress. So even though I tried to stay with a very low budget, things kind of ended up changing throughout the process. I definitely didn't want to cheapen out on my photos. I ended up adding video and I definitely wanted a beautiful dress. So I think I stayed within a reasonable price range. And I feel like it's very possible to do that when you're shopping for a dress. So some of the things I did before I went off looking for a dress was I understood that most bridal appointments were 1 hour, like 1 hour. And I knew that when I was in a bridal store, that 1 hour was not going to be enough if I had absolutely no idea what I was looking for. I felt like that was going to be like very stressful. It was going to put a lot of pressure on me. So what I started doing was I looked online. I specifically started looking on Pinterest on the type of wedding that I would want, because originally I thought I would want a rustic wedding. I thought I wanted like a barn wedding, like they have like the chandeliers and like the wood and like the rustic flowers. And even though those weddings are beautiful, they're really not true to who I am or my personal style. Like I'm not a barn type of girl. Like there's nothing wrong with that. It's just I'm not a rustic girl. I like the whole glitz, glam, over the top, sparkle, like rhinestones, like overboard glitter. Like that's just me. That's who I am, So once I identified my personal style and I started looking on Pinterest for weddings that kind of suited like that whole like idea that was in my brain, it was easy to find the dress I was looking for. And then also understanding the different types of styles that wedding dresses come in. If you have a, bigger chest and you want to accentuate, the top part of your body, usually a sweetheart neckline would be the best option. It's a strapless dress that kind of comes like curved in and it helps accentuate cleavage. And sometimes, you know, you don't want that accentuated, so you just want a strapless dress, or let's say you have a lot of tattoos on your arms, or just even some, and you want to cover them. Sometimes there are dresses that have lace or sleeves. If you're getting married in a church and you want a very formal wedding dress, usually a dress with sleeves and that's covered is usually very appropriate for that. That can always be added on after. So I don't have any tattoos on my arms. I didn't want sleeves or anything like that. But the different styles of dresses that are out there are, you know, the sweetheart neckline that I discussed. There's strapless where it's straight across, where it's not accentuating your chest. There's dresses with sleeves and lace. Those can always be added after as well. If you have big hips and you want to accentuate a small waist, because typically people that have big hips have a smaller waist, you'd want to stick to an A-line dress. Or if you like that rustic look and you want to have like a barn wedding, typically you can choose a romantic style dress. Usually they're long and flowy, and there's so many different styles in that whole family. There's usually no like poof to the dress. You don't wear a petticoat or anything like that. That's that thing that goes under your dress that puffs it up. You don't wear that if you're having like one of those types of weddings and you want to stick to that kind of look. So I feel like understanding what types of styles are out there and understanding your body shape is so important. Like some people forget, they just like look at dresses and kind of like forget what they look like and what kind of features are good and what kind of features are bad. You know, it's like wedding dresses can accentuate all types of body types, but you have to understand what type of body type you have. Like that is so important to have self-awareness, like body awareness. And looking on Pinterest is very helpful. And then once you have a general idea of like what you like, what you don't like, it's easier to make a bridal appointment and try on dresses that you feel would fit your shape or your style. And then it's easier to narrow down the selection from there. That's what I did. A few resources that were very helpful in my process to finding a wedding venue and a wedding dress was Wedding Wire and The Knot. My dear friend Sarah, actually, when I got engaged, she purchased this book from me. It's actually a wedding planner. It's by The Knot, and it has been such a helpful resource throughout this entire process. My friend is so, so sweet. She sent this to me as a surprise right when I got engaged, and like when it arrived, I literally almost cried because I was like, that's just like such a thoughtful gift from a dear friend of mine to like send me this, because she knew that the process of getting married and planning a wedding was so stressful. So Sarah, thank you once again for this. So if you are in the process of planning a wedding, please enjoy the process because it can be very stressful, but it can also be very exciting. So I hope you enjoyed my video. Please subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you again next time. Thank you so much for watching.